Testing 1, 2. You should hear my voice now.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. I see the attendee list is growing. Wait for 1 more minute. All right. Let's start. I think there are more people joining in a minute, but they will just catch up later on. Okay, let's kick off. Um, good afternoon, everyone, and in some cases, good evening and good morning in some cases, I guess, as well. First of all, I hope you are all safe and well, and thank you for joining. Welcome to the special Tech Talk about test management and test automation. This session is a joint effort between Avisi and our trusted partner, QMetry. Before we dive into the demo, first a brief kickoff and some context around the main topic to get you warmed up. After the demo, we have time to answer your questions. So just drop a message in the chat and we'll discuss them during the Q&A. Please note that the session is being recorded. We will publish this later on our website for on-demand viewing. Are you ready? Let's get started. My name is Kersten, and I am a consultant at Avisi. I help teams in meeting the challenges in the field of agile software development, QA, and ITSM and knowledge management. Saurabh from QMetry is a solution engineer. In the demo, he will inspire you about a lot of cool stuff using the tools of QMetry, of course. A while ago, I wrote a blog post about the possibilities for test management in Jira. If you're interested in reading, just visit our website. But basically, there are 3 options. Number 1, only use Jira and customize it for your own test management process. Think about having separate issue types for test planning, preparation, and executions, and creating separate screens and workflows for those issue types. However, there are some limitations in this approach, like it becomes complicated to reuse test case for regression testing. And also, it's not easy to get detailed test reporting. So if you want more control over your QA process, add-ons can help in supporting this need. And as you might know, there are many test management add-ons available in the Atlassian marketplace. We love QMetry for Jira for many reasons. If you're interested, just take a look at our recorded webinar of last year. Add-ons like QMetry for Jira add value in your development and testing process. At the same time, it's a lightweight solution. So, for example, if you want to scale up, if you want even more features and control, like customization, reporting capabilities, BDD integration, artificial intelligence, and so on, then a standalone app like QMetry Test Management is the way to go. If you're also seeking for a test automation solution, then QMetry Automation Studio can support you in multiple ways. So let's hand over to Saurabh. He will guide you during the next demo.
All right, everyone. Hey, everyone. This is Saurabh. All right, so let's go through the slides and talk about the agile testing challenges. Now, one of the key challenges that anyone faces in agile is the shrinking timelines for both the project as well as for testing new features or also retesting the old functionalities. Now, as you can see on the slide, the product, uh, both the automation studio and the test management is designed in such a way that it meets both the evolving continuous quality needs. Now, in the test management, you can see we have the executions or creating test cases on the fly, or also creating bugs directly on the fly. We have inbuilt BDD integrations, AI/ML capabilities to help you understand if there are any duplicates for your test cases or even for your requirements. And it also suggests if you can link those test cases to your requirements. And in the automation studio, some of the features that definitely help you in your agile environment would be your self-healing and the headless testing. So I'll go more over in that. So let's go to the next slide and give you more details on what we have inside the test management as well as in automation studio. Now in test management, we have a higher team collaboration available with its Jira integration right out of the box, so that the whole team from the agile team, be it the agile or scrum or even the DevOps team who does not have access to QMetry, they can have an end-to-end trace routine directly inside your Jira. We have um, Jenkins plugins as well as a lot of CI/CD plugins available out of the box, which can be utilized in your automation testing. Then we have exploratory testing that enables automated and smarter test case documentation, and comprehensive test coverage and deeper traceability is available as part of our system reports. Let's go to the next slide. All right. Now in Qumity Automation Studio, this is a part where a lot of features of behavior driven as well as test driven development comes into picture, and that can be really utilized. And it comes to its main flavor where you can definitely utilize a lot of features of these inside your DevOps as well as in agile environments. So creating your faster BDD scenarios, minimum learning curve, and a command line interface, as well as the running of your test cases through command line for faster testing. And the same can be integrated out of the box with CI/CD tools such as Jenkins, Bamboo, and also you can just basically go ahead and push all your recordings, all the test cases, and the whole project that you create directly inside your version control such as GitLab or Bitbucket, and then the same can be connected to your Jenkins or any CI/CD for your automation. Now here you can see what are the different platforms we support. We support creating test cases for your web services, Android, be it your mobile Android or iOS applications, and also a direct integration with your version control. All right. Now this it's demo time, so let me just go ahead and show you the product that is our automation studio into picture. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. All right. So everyone can see my screen, right, Barry?
Yep, yep.
Awesome. So this is our product, the automation studio. Now, if I just go ahead and create a new project, so let me just go ahead and create a new project. And let's say we are doing a banking application, web testing. And let's go ahead and select the location where I want to create this project. Now, the way I maintain my repositories for creating these projects is in such a way that it is already connected to my GitLab, where I can just basically go ahead and push everything to my repository. Now let's go ahead and select the location. So once I've selected the location, I can just go ahead and click on next. Now this is a portion where we will select the platform that we are trying to test for. So we support all these other platform. Like I said, we have web, we have mobile web, we have web services, Windows, Android, and iOS. Now the web services can be definitely utilized a lot in your banking applications because there are a lot of microservices that these days banking applications use. But not only for banking, this can be utilized for anyone who wants to test out their API calls and make sure like if there are any changes that can be verified. So let's go ahead and select web for now and show you the languages that we support. So if I just go ahead and select web and click on next, so this is a language in which the code will be generated in the backend. So depending upon the flavor that the organization requires, they can generate the code in Java, Python, JavaScript, or TypeScript. And if I just go to my previous screen and select both the web and Android and just go ahead and click on next, then you can see that the options for your language changes. Now we support Java and Python for the two platforms that we have go ahead and selected. So let me go ahead and select Java for now and go ahead and click on next. And this is the place where we will be selecting our framework. So depends, like if you are doing a behavioral driven development or a test driven development, you can go ahead and select those frameworks. Now we also have our own proprietary QMetry automation framework which can be utilized along with this tool. So let's go ahead and select QMetry automation framework, click on next. And this is a place where you will just basically provide your project properties. Now, since we are doing both the Android and web testing, we need to just go ahead and give these properties right over here. So let me just do that for you. So similarly, if you have a UAT server or a regression coming up for one of your web UIs, you just need to go ahead and provide this URL for you to go ahead and create testing or recordings on that particular UI. And we also support Android for if you directly have a package, an application, you can just directly uh, browse to that particular application package, or you can just provide the application package and the activity type for your application that is under test. So let me go ahead and give these details. All right. Now, once everything is put in, we can just go ahead and click on finish. And what the product would do would basically pull in all the dependencies required for creating a project around the web UI and the mobile. So here you can see it is downloading all the details required. And once it builds our workspace, here you can see on the left side, this is going to be our workspace. Now, since we created the banking application, you can see all the code for the banking application will be available right over here in the Explorer. Now we have, so if I just expand upon a few of them, you can see this is going to be the source code. Now, since we selected Java, we have the source code, we have the common steps code directly right over here present for both the Android and web. And then if I just expand upon one of them, you can see this is the code that has been written for you out of the box. Now the tool can be utilized both the ways. So if there is a new tester, or if you're just trying to newly move from testing to QA or QE, you can definitely utilize this tool for directly recording your test cases and then generating your code. Or if there is someone like a developer who wants to, or an automation engineer who's well versed with automation, they can use this product to the other way around. So you can just basically use this as an IDE and start writing the code directly from your end to your test automation. So all your scenario files, so talking about in your DevOps environment where you have three amigos trying to write your behavioral driven code or the feature files. So all those features files and the business users can basically use this tool and generate those feature files, and all those feature files for your given uh, platform will be available right under these folders. All right. Now let's quickly dive into the recording. So let me just go ahead and click on QMetry. Now as a tester or a business user, I want to create a test case for the new regression that has come in. So instead of creating a test case manually, I can just use this tool for creating my test cases on the fly, and then just basically use this as my automation to rerun everything. All right. Now, once I get into the recording, here you can see this is a new UI. On the left-hand side, we have the test suites where we create the different test suites, and then we create different test cases right over here. On the left bottom corner, we have all the locator resources, which can be utilized by those test cases to check all the web locations are available. Then we have the test data. So the test data can be created directly inside the product, or it can also be integrated with a database outside. So if I just click on the database connection, so here you can see we can just basically go ahead and connect to a database, MySQL 5.7 above and below, as well as MS SQL Server to pull in your data, write an SQL query, and use this as a test data in your test cases. All right, let's go ahead and record our test cases. So let me go ahead and create a new test suite. So let's say we are doing a web test suite and create a test case inside it. So let's go and say we are testing web login. Now at the bottom here, you see we have tags. Now there are multiple ways that you can utilize tags. So if there are n number of test cases that you create right over here for different platforms, so we can create test cases for different platforms at the same time, and they all can be executed at the same time. Now, once you have a test case created for regression, so for example, if I want this test case to be part of regression, I can just go ahead and add these tags. And when I'm going to execute all the test suites that are present right over here, I can just filter out the test cases based on these tags. All right, let me just go ahead and click on add. All right, so this is the web login test case that has been created. So on the left hand side, it shows us the new UI where we will be recording our test steps. And here you can see this is the procedure that we will be going through. We will be recording our test with the events and assertions. We can also add manual steps if required, then execute and view the code in the end. So let me just go ahead and click on record. So as a tester, what I'll basically go ahead and do, or as a business user, what I'll basically go ahead and do is click on record, select web since we're doing a web recording, and then this is the URL that we gave initially in the project properties, and let's just click start. Now, once I go ahead and click start, you will see that the Chrome browser would show up and then the URL would display inside the Chrome browser. Now, in the backend, if I show you, the initial step has already been recorded of launching your website. Now let's just go ahead and perform some steps. So for example, if I'm testing the login for the user Bob, let me just go ahead and click on login, and then let's do some credit and debit for this particular account. So doing a credit and debit of $100, and let's go ahead and click on logout. And if there is something that you want to assert in the end, or even in between the flow, we can always right click on any of them, and then we have all these assertions available where we can just verify the present or assert the present or verify the text as well, or store the text. So all these different types of assertions are available that it can be utilized. So let's just go ahead and select assert present. And once we're done with our recording, we can just go back to our tool and click on stop. So here you can see all those steps that we navigated through have been recorded with the command and the element that we accessed and what input was given on that particular element. All right. So if I just click on repositories for now, so here you can see these are all the web locators that were located on the UI while we were navigating through the UI. So the best practice is to basically go ahead and save these web locators inside one of the locator file, and I'll show you what is the advantage of having a locator file. Now, if I go to the locators right over here inside web, so here you can see if I go to homepage LOC, these are all the locators that were basically recorded while we navigated through the UI. Now, the advantage over here of having this recorded in a repository is that if there is a new UI that comes in, or if there is a UAT server that comes in where you have a new UI basically for your website, you can just go ahead and verify if these locators are still valid or not. Or else, another way of using this particular functionality is that you can basically add your own new locators as well for your new UI, and the same will be utilized by your test case when it runs inside for your new web UI. So for example, if I just click on Object Spy and then click on Start, and if there is a new button or if there is something new that you want to add to the test case as well, so you can just basically go ahead and click on Command or Control and navigate through the UI and add them to your locators. Now this is an advantage that you have inside in an agile environment where the new regressions come in, the new UIs come in, and you not necessarily need to have a new test case created every time a new build comes in. You can just basically add those new elements to your same test case and reutilize your test case. Another way of utilizing this tool is that we also have the verify option. So if you want to make sure like all these locators, the selected locators are still valid on the UI, you can just basically go ahead and click on verify, and then it will check if these locators are still valid on the UI that we are currently on. So here you can see it was able to validate that these four steps or the locators are still valid on the UI. Now this is very helpful from the perspective of retesting and then doing a testing for your new build that has come in, or also doing a retesting of your old functionalities. All right, let me go ahead and click on stop, and let's go back to our test case. So this is the test case that was recorded. You see we have the parameters available as well. Now let's just go ahead and create a test data and clip test data to our test case. To do that, let's go to our test data option right over here, click on the web and add new file. Now here you can see the dropdown, we have two options. So one is SQL and one is the CSV file. Now, like I said, we can integrate with the databases to pull in your data to be tested, or you can just directly create a CSV file for the framework that we have currently to go ahead and use that test data from the product itself. And if you were using a behavioral driven framework such as Cucumber, you also have the option to create that sample data directly inside the tool. So here you can see I've created the credentials file. Now let me go ahead and add some data. So let's give column names. And the column names are basically what we utilize as parameters inside your test case. Now here you can see I've created username and password. Let's add two columns and add in users to test. Let's go ahead and click on save and go back to my test case and clip this test data to my test case. Click on apply. And basically what I have to do is replace these hard coded values with parameters. Now, if you have n number of usernames, or for example, I have username right over here, but if you have n number of IP addresses to test on, you can basically parameterize those IP addresses, and the testing or the test cases will be created on run for those particular parameters. So let me quickly show you how it looks like. Now, if I just click on execute and click on local, here you can see we have the options to select different browsers. So we can do Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari. And also if you want to do faster testing and you don't want the user interface to come in into picture while we are doing the testing, we can also do Chrome headless testing or Firefox headless testing. Another option we have is execute in self-healing mode, which I'll go through after we execute it right now. So the self-healing mode is basically a kind of an AI ML functionality we have where it understands if there are any changes on the new UI, and it will rectify the test case itself on its own, other than having a manual intervention to go ahead and make those changes in the test case. So let me just quickly execute this right now and I'll show you how self-healing works. So if I just click on start, you'll be able to see that it will pull in the Chrome browser and it will do testing for our recorded test case for both the users, that is Bob and Sarah. And once the execution is going on, you can see in the back end, all these steps are getting verified. Awesome. So here you can see it passed test cases at number is 2, then skip test cases is 0, total test cases is 2. Now the reason we have 2 is because we had 2 users to test, and hence the reason the total test cases is 2. And if I just expand upon these steps, you'll be able to see what command it run, what was the input, and what is the status of that particular element. All right. Now let's go into the example of self-healing. So for example, if the UI changes completely. So for example, if I just try to replace this element with number of periods, so this element of course does not exist. And what I'm trying to replicate over here is that if there is a total new UI or if there are small changes in the UI, the product is smart enough to self-heal itself. Now, talking about it in an agile environment, so if a new build comes in, there is no need for you to go ahead and create a new test case for the new build. You can definitely go ahead and reutilize the old test cases like the one we already have in self-healing mode, and then it will be able to rectify itself for the elements that are expected. And if there are elements that are completely new, you can of course utilize the object spy to add those elements and reutilize our test case. So let me just go ahead and click on execute and local, and let's execute in self-healing mode. And you will be able to see it in action that it rectifies itself where it is trying to find the field where it needs to put in the $100 for a credit. Now this is a place where you can see it try to verify. So it was so quick that it was able to rectify itself very quickly. And once it rectifies, it also updates the test case with the same. So there is no need of manual intervention of updating your steps or the locators manually. Awesome. So here you can see if I just navigate back to my test case, this is the location that it was able to update. So you can see a new X path is available for the location of for the field where we need to go ahead and put the $100. So it was able to rectify itself. And if I just go back to my test case, you can see that it was able to rectify with the new X path on that particular test case, and it updated the test case for you. And if I just go into a very drastic use case where the UI has completely changed, then it will ask for a manual intervention where it will ask which is the new location for that particular element. So if I just click on local right now and try to change the URL to a completely new URL, for example, if this is a new website that we're trying to test on with the old test case and click on start, you'll be able to see that the second UI of the web page is completely different than what is expected, and how it will ask us for the new locations in the self-healing mode. So basically it will rectify the old test case for you, and there is no need for the users to go ahead and create a new test case for the new UI. So here you can see it is trying to verify the locators where it is trying to put in the $100. And since this is a very drastic change in the UI, it will ask the user to put in the values. So here you can see instead of the credit, we have a deposit option and a deposit button. So it is trying all the different possibilities for it to locate the $100 of credit field where it can put in that value. And if it is not able to sell field, so here you can see it was not able to sell field, and hence it asks for a manual intervention where we need to go ahead and put in the new location. So let me go ahead and do that. So this is a way. So basically just go ahead and hover over the new UI and then basically click on plus. And now it is looking for the credit button. So instead of credit button, we have the deposit button. So you can see that the product is smart enough to understand if there are new changes, and it will ask for the user to give the new inputs. And basically, if there is a very big test case that you're trying to test for, obviously this option of self-healing can definitely help the team in an agile environment to reutilize all the old test cases for the new UIs that come in. So let's just wait for the product. Okay, so here you can see it was not able to verify the credit button. Now we need to go ahead and put in the value. So just hover over deposit, click on it, and then just click on plus. Now these values will be accepted inside your test case, and here you can see the test case was able to execute as expected for the remaining steps. Now it is trying to do the same for our second user. So here you can see it went to the deposit option directly without even manual intervention. So it was able to rectify itself on its own for the second user. Now, as the testing is going on, here you can see in the back end, we can also verify what it is trying to do inside the product. All right, so here you can see it was able to rectify that particular step. And now it is looking at the withdraw steps and the logout steps. All right. So here you can see it was able to rectify everything, and all the steps have been passed for our new UI. So the old test case was reutilized for a completely new UI, and here you can see the self rectification as well as the manual intervention was required, and then we were able to go ahead and execute all the steps successfully. Now the advantage over here is that if I just go ahead and click on close, in the back end, the elements will be updated automatically in the old test case. And here comes up the value of this product where you can utilize all your old test cases for your new UI or the new build that comes in. Now talking about the code, so if I just try to show you the BDD code, if I click on the code option right over here, so here you can see based on the framework that we selected and the language we selected, this is going to be our behavioral driven scenario file. Now here you can see I have selected Java QMetry automation framework, and hence the reason we have this value over here. And if someone is comfortable with any other language, or if someone requires any other language and any other framework, we can basically drag and drop from here. And if I just select this drop down values and select Java test ng, so we can also get the code or the scenario in the test ng format. So if I just quickly show you Python behave or JavaScript Cucumber, so this is how we can just basically go ahead and select it from the dropdown and export out the scenario files. Now let's go ahead and select Java QMetry automation framework as we are working on the same. And if I click on export, all right, let me just go ahead and update all those repositories. Now, since we were done, okay, all right. If I just go ahead and try to clear my repository, go to my test case, go to the repository, and add everything to my locators. So here you can see it was able to rectify everything. Now we add everything to the repository. If I just go to my code and click on export, so this is going to be our scenario file. Now, since we have the scenario file or the feature file, you can see web login test case.feature. This is the feature file that was created. And now here comes a portion where as a automation engineer or a test engineer, I can basically write upon this code. So all the code is available right over here. and everything is editable. So if you want to edit your scenario files, or if you want to work on top of this project, so you want to create a baseline of a project or testing and then start working up on above it, you can also go ahead and utilize the product for the same. So if I just go to common steps, so this is going to be your common steps and everything would be updated for you. And then we have the pom.xml and all those files available right inside the product. All right. Now, once we do our testing, so if I just go to my test recorder again and try to do my testing, let me quickly show you how does it integrate with our test management tool. So if I just go back over here, try to execute it locally. Let's go ahead and make sure like we back to our old use case. Click on start and make sure our test case passes for our old UI as well. Okay, let me just try to recreate a scenario over here so that I can show you how the integration works. Right. So let's go ahead and do testing for Bob. Logout and then verifies anything at the end. Once we're done with our recording, let's go and click on stop. And if I just try to show you the integration that we have with our test management tool, if I execute this locally and click on start, so here you can see I'm just retesting my test case. And once we are ready to upload everything inside our test management tool, we have the option to upload in the end. Awesome. So here you can see we have the option of upload. So if I just go ahead and click on upload, this is where we will be basically able to integrate with any other tool. Now we have out of the box integration with QTM and Jira and also QTM 4J. So for now, let's go ahead and select QTM for both our test management and defect management. And let's provide some details. So basically for the integration, we would require the open API, which will be available inside our test management tool. Now let me go ahead and copy my open API. And then once the API has been put in for authentication, we will be able to access all the projects that is part of our QMetry test management. So for now, let me go ahead and select the banking project I have to be able to integrate with my application. And then go ahead and select your release and cycles that we are trying to do our testing for. So here you can see it's very easy for our automation tool to integrate with our test management tool as well, where if you're trying to create test cases or executions or automation executions for a particular release or cycle, you can definitely go ahead and select that project and the associated release and cycle as well as a build and the platform for which you're testing. So let me quickly go ahead and select sprint 1 as the cycle that I'm testing for. And if there were any builds, I can go ahead and select that build and the platform that I'm testing against. So for example, if I'm doing my testing against Chrome for now, I can go ahead and select Chrome. And if I also want to associate this to a particular requirement, so if as a tester, I'm trying to cover the requirements to automation for the requirement number 11 from my test management, I can go ahead and put in these values right over there. And if we already have a test suite present inside the test management tool, we can mention those details over here as well. So if I just quickly go over my integration requirements, all I need is basically an alias name that I can give for my integration, what kind of test management am I using, if I'm using cloud or server, and then the open API key. So if you have access to Kubernetes test management, everyone will have their own API key, which can be utilized for integrating with test management. Select the project and the associated release and cycle that I'm testing for, and then the platform and the requirements that I'm trying to cover. So if I just go ahead and click on save and upload, you'll be able to see that I can go ahead and confirm upload, and all the testing that I did inside the product will be available inside my test management tool. So if I just click here, I will be navigated to my test management tool, which I can quickly show you. So here you can see this is the test management tool, and over here, this is the execution that it basically created for the one that we did on our test recorder. So if I just go ahead and click on execute, you can see all the test cases have been created for us inside the tool. If there are any new versions that need to be created, it also created a new version based on how we recorded our test case. And also the outcome for each individual step is recorded right over here. If there were any errors that were encountered, those errors will also be available inside our repository, as the error message or a trace of error will be available on each step as well. So here you can see how you can just basically integrate your automation with a particular project release and cycle and create those test cases directly inside our test management tool. All right. Now, if I just navigate through my Explorer, I can show you. So these are the configuration files that we have created, and this is going to be a pom.xml. So talking about the Jenkins and the CI/CD, this whole project can be pushed to your Git repository. So here you can see we have the Git option where we can just directly initialize our repository and give commands in such a way that we can basically go ahead and pull, commit, or push all those our recorded files to our version control, be it GitLab or Bitbucket or any other version control that you're using. And now the same can be utilized in your Jenkins pipeline. So if I just quickly show you my Jenkins pipeline where I have this code available. So if I just try to navigate to my Jenkins, and if I quickly log in inside Jenkins and go to my banking automation test. So here you can see this is where I have configured my project. And if I go to configure, I am basically accessing my Bitbucket where I have my automation code available, which I generated through the Automation Studio. And at the bottom, we have a post build action as our QMetry plugin. So here again, like I said, we have plugins available for both Bamboo and Maven as well as Jenkins, which can be utilized as your post build actions. And the automation will be available inside our test management tool once this post build action is run. So what this pipeline is basically doing is that it is accessing my code that was generated through Automation Studio through GitHub, oh sorry, the Bitbucket, and then it is using Maven to build that project. And once the automation is built, a result file is created on the target location, and the same will be uploaded in our project. And if I quickly show you our test management tool and how we can basically utilize BDD or the behavioral driven inside our test management, if I go to any of the requirements and try to open up requirement number 11 that we just associated our automation to. So this is a requirement you can see that was basically pulled in from Jira. Now also talking about our integration with Jira, so we have readily available integration, a very good synchronization with your Jira. So if you are in an agile environment and maintaining your requirements inside Jira, those user stories can basically be synchronized inside QMetry. So here you can see we have the Jira fields available for the requirement that has been synchronized from Jira. And if I just go to our behavioral driven section over here on that particular requirement, so if an organization is utilizing the three amigos functionality where the amigos would basically come in and write their feature files. Now if they write the feature file in any of the version control, like I'm currently using my Bitbucket for creating that, so here you can see I can just basically pull in those feature files directly from that particular location and utilize in my requirements. Now a part of semi-automation also comes over here. So since I have my Jenkins pipeline utilizing the same feature file, and if I make any changes directly on the feature file right over here, me as a user, I can go ahead and push those changes directly to my repository in Bitbucket, and Jenkins can be configured in such a way that it will detect those changes and run the automation directly for you. So let me just add some comment to my change and basically go ahead and push this. So I was able to push the details to my repository, And now if I just try to navigate back to my Jenkins and go to my job, you will be able to see that this job will be automatically triggered. So let's just wait and see for it to auto trigger right over here. So here you can see it was Jenkins was able to detect those changes in the feature file, and now it is rerunning our automation. Like you can see, it's if I go to my console output, you can see it is running our test. It is building the Cucumber project. It is running our test in the backend, and since it was able to finish the project, you can see it also gives us what test suite was created, and it also gives us the link directly to our test suite. So if I just go back to my test management tool and try to navigate to the test suites, so this is the test suite that it created basically. And if I just open this test suite, you can see we have our test cases created. So it also creates new versions if there are old test cases present based on the logic that it has. And then if I expand upon these test cases, so let's expand upon the failed one. So here you can see it failed on one of the steps and it has updated everything. Along with that, we also have our trace log and the error messages on that particular execution. So basically, this covers the execution from our automation and integration with our test management. And if I just directly show you that traceability we have, the end-to-end traceability for all your automation or for your requirements as well. So so we have a lot of industry standard reports available inside QMetry test management for you to go through the reporting. So if I just expand upon the execution summary report, you can just basically go ahead and see all your executions for that particular week, for that particular month, depending upon what filter you have selected. And basically, all that executions, be it automated or manual, everything will be available in the form of reporting. Also, we have a very good traceability directly inside the product where we can trace by requirement, by test case, by issues, and get that end-to-end traceability, which is very vital in an agile environment for us to understand what is going on with the version of the execution and what cycle. So here you can see this is the requirement that we are trying to cover. What are the test cases associated to it? If there were any bugs, any test suits that were associated, execution statuses, platform and release that is it is associated to. Now, one of the other tool that we also have inside our test management is exploratory testing. Now, exploratory testing is basically creating test cases on the fly, which is very similar to our automation studio where we record our test cases on the fly and create those test cases. But over here, if you just want to create a test case for any manual or for any manual efforts that you're trying to do, we can definitely utilize our exploratory testing plugin for creating those test cases. So here you can see we have this extension available, or the extension is available for Chrome, Firefox, and Edge. And if I just try to show you how it works, let's navigate to Amazon.com, or let's go to QMetry.com. And for example, if I want to check if the new build is working properly or not for my contact page, I can basically create a test case directly right over here through this extension. So click on the extension, click on login, provide the project where we want to create our session, then the session name, and basically go ahead and click on start recording. Now, once we click on start recording, all the tester has to do is basically navigate to the UI. So for example, contact, and then go ahead and fill in those details in that particular form. So for example, I'm using Saurabh, last name, and my phone number, and an email address. And then any message. Just basically go ahead and click on send message. Now, even if there is a bug that is encountered while you're doing your test cases, this tool can be utilized for creating bugs proactively on the fly as well. So here you can see if this is one of the bugs that was encountered saying that the captcha was not verified, even though I verified, I can go ahead and directly create a bug when I'm navigating. So here you can see if I just click on my extension, we have this bug icon right over here, which can be utilized for creating bugs directly on the fly. Now, this tool can be utilized by both the business users as well as the testers who are working in an agile environment for proactively creating bugs. Now, if there is a business user and they're working on the UAT, this tool can definitely be used by those business users as well for creating bugs on the fly. So here you can see it took a screenshot of the UI that we were currently on, and we can basically go ahead and make our annotations, and then we can basically create a bug directly inside QMetry and also assign it to a developer directly. So all these details can be filled right over here, provide some description and the environment that we are testing on, and basically go ahead and log issue. And once we are done with our testing, so if I just go back to my page and we are done with creating our test case, we can go ahead and click on stop, and all the screenshots and the network and the console logs will be uploaded back to QMetry. Now this saves a lot of effort of the developer for recreating the scenario. So instead of recreating the scenario, basically the developer can utilize everything from the session itself. So here you can see we have our session, 21 events took place, there was one defect created, and if I just expand upon this session, you can see we have the screenshots of all the UI that the tester navigated through, along with the annotations with a red arrow on where to click and what are the values I need to put in. So you can see we just navigate through all the UI. So we have annotations present. And once we are ready to document, if I just click on the document tab, so this is the documentation where it says launch qmetry.com, and then what is the expected outcome. We can also go ahead and make those edits. And once we are ready for creating our test case, we can just basically click on create test case. And similarly, inside our test management tool as well, we can utilize exploratory testing for creating test cases on the fly. So here you can see these are the steps that were recorded, and all those UI, all the screenshots of the UI will be attached to each and every single step right over here. So if I just go ahead and click on create and navigate back to my test case and go to the steps. So here you can see all the screenshots are attached directly right over here. And talking about the network and the console logs, so if I just go to attachments, you will be able to see the console and the network logs available as well. And now from here, what a tester can basically go ahead and do is that link to this recorded test case or the created test case to a particular requirement. And if we have that end-to-end traceability available or the Jira synchronization available for you, the same test case will be available inside Jira. So if I just quickly open up this particular requirement and navigate through the Jira user story that it has been synchronized with. So here you can see this is the user story from Jira that was synchronized inside QMetry, and all the details from QMetry are available back inside Jira. So here you can see all the test cases that are associated to the requirement are present inside Jira, along with the test steps and executions that the test case is part of with the latest execution statuses, release, and cycle. Now, the use case that we are trying to cover over here is that not everyone needs to have access to QMetry to be able to view these details. So, if you're working in an agile team or a scrum team, and when you have team meetings, everyone can just basically collaborate and have a single team view where the developer, the tester can all try and check everyone's efforts and what is going on with their particular execution for the new build. So you can see if I click on execution tab, we can also go ahead and see all those executions that are part of this test case, which is indirectly linked to our requirement as well. And if I click on the bug, you'll be also able to see all the issues or the bugs associated to that particular action. Awesome. All right. All right. Now let's go back to our automation studio and also show you the reporting that we have inside our Qumety automation studio directly. So here you can see we have the analytics tab. And if I just go to our test record or report, all those testings that we did on the UI, you can see all those test suites that were executed, all the reporting is available for each execution, and how many test cases passed, how many failed. And if I just click on the platform, you can see if I expand, all those steps that were executed is available right over here, along with the step time analysis, how much time it took for each step to execute, and basically if there are any errors associated We will also be able to integrate with Jira or QMetry for your defect management as well. So if I just go to my QAS CLI, so here you can see we can also utilize the command line interface for all the Windows, Mac, and Linux as well for running them in the headless mode. So if I just go to my terminal over here and try to do maven clean test, you can see the same like we talked about the Jenkins integration. Similarly, you can use the command line interface for running your test cases. So you can see it is trying to run our test case now. And if there are any errors that it encounters, it will be able to make a note of everything, as well as since integration is already available inside the pom.xml for our test management, all those executed results and the test cases and the test steps will be pushed back to QMetry. So here you can see it is encountering some errors, and it will just basically go ahead and test our test cases and upload the results to QMetry. All right. So let's go ahead and have a look at what are the key takeaways that we had from our session today. So QMetry Automation Studio offers a scalable test automation, easy transitions from a manual to an automation testing, where it becomes very easy for the testers to move from the testing to the to the quality engineering environment. We also support multi-platform automation across the web services, API, mobile, and Windows desktop applications. We support multiple browsers during execution, as well as we have out-of-box integrations with other uh, lifecycle management tools, as well as we have good migration tools available for you. We seamlessly integrate with our CI/CD tools such as Jenkins, Bamboo. We also have integration available for the Source Labs Perfecto. So if you're doing any mobile testing, we also integrate with Lambda if you're doing any cross-browser testing on a remote server, executing the test cases in self-healing mode like we saw. This means that the objects associated with the scripts are correctly automatically corrected without any manual intervention. As well as we have the command line interface available for you for your headless executions, where you can ensure like faster execution of your test cases, where you don't need to basically navigate to the UI, which will basically save your time when you're trying to execute test cases in an agile environment. All right.
Great. Thank you very much, Saurabh, for this
Sure.
great demo. Um, yeah, next is the Q&A session. We have a couple of questions, a few from Abdel. For the rest, if you have any questions, just drop a message. So let's go to the first question. He's asking, is it a code plugin or a standalone application?
Mhm.
I think he's talking about the Automation Studio,
Mhm.
but both Automation Studio and Test Management is a standalone application,
Absolutely.
and it's available on-prem and as a cloud
As
solution,
a
right?
SaaS
Yeah,
solution as well. That is correct.
exactly. Okay. Well, second question: can the step definitions be renamed so the BDD is more readable?
Yes, definitely. So you, like a developer, you can go ahead and navigate through the BDD and create your own steps, and you can make all those changes you require inside the BDD. So it's just like any other BDD that will be available, be it the BDD from Cucumber or TestNG. You can definitely go ahead and make those edits to your BDD.
Yeah, yeah, great. Um, yeah, maybe I will move forward to some frequently asked questions. So if
Hmm.
nobody has any questions, I will just move over to some frequently asked questions. Like for example, what frameworks are selected as a default for programming languages?
So the frameworks available, so we have a lot of frameworks such as Robot, Cucumber, TestNG, and also our own framework that is our Kubernetes adoption framework.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And another question: what is what does Automation Studio integrate with? What kind of out of the box integrations are available, and are there any other integrations available?
So we definitely integrate with a lot of tools. So for example, we integrate with Source Lab. So if you're doing any remote mobile testing for your Android or iOS, we have direct integration inside the product to integrate with Source Labs and any other tool. So like I said, we also integrate with Lambda test to be able to test our cross or remote browser testing.
Hmm.
And talking about integration, we also integrate with our own tool, that is a test management tool, as well as Jira. So both the tools can be utilized. So if you're heavily using Jira for bug management, you can definitely integrate Automation Studio directly to Jira for creating bugs right over there.
Yeah, and Jira Cloud as well, and on-prem,
Yes,
right?
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Another question is, does QMetry Automation Studio support CLI headless automation?
Yes, it does. So, like I said, and like I showed in the demo, we have the headless testing available at the UI level, as well as you can just definitely use your terminal or Jenkins to do your headless testing.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. And what about self-healingness in CI/CD?
So we currently do not support self-healing in CI/CD. It is only available at the UI level at the tool.
Mhm. Okay. And the last question is creating implicit wait time or custom wait time available?
Yes, absolutely. So we can add our own steps, and those steps can basically be your implicit wait time, or if you're trying to do for web APIs, you can also do a request or any assertions. So all those assertions or the commands that you're trying to do, or even adding implicit wait time, all those commands are readily available through the drop down inside our product. So
Yeah.
you can directly utilize it.
Okay. Great. Um, yeah. So those are just a few frequently asked questions. There are no more questions left from the audience. So I think it's time for a wrap up. So everyone, thanks for attending. Saurabh, especially thanks to you for
Sure.
presenting and demoing the products.
Sure.
Um, if there are any more questions, just drop a message by email at lesson@avisi.nl. Can be questions about product, about consultancy, about anything related to QA, Qmetry, or maybe integration with Jira, for example. So again, thanks for joining, and have a great day ahead.
Awesome. Thank you everyone joining, and I hope like you see value in this product and definitely see you in the future.
Yep. Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank you everyone. Bye bye.